Hey everybody, it's been a long time since I've done a video. Just things been crazy busy and doing all kinds of different things, not even RC car related or 3D printing, just tons of stuff. So anyways, glad to try to get another video made. This is one I've been wanting to do for a long time, but never really had time to do it. So let's just go ahead and get started. Basically today I'm going to be taking one of these roof racks, and the way a lot of people have been asking about how I wire lights and stuff. This is the way I used to do it. I would get some pre wired LEDs. Usually I would get the ones that are rated like 3.4 volts or 3 volts to 6 volts or something like that. Then I would wire them up to the lights and run all the wires to sort of a central location, and then get a long wire that goes inside the body. I've never really drilled holes in the body, so I've always just run them around the back side and through the body, and then hook them up inside. It's just something I've always done. I've never been happy with the wires sticking out the back. I know a few people have actually cut holes in the roof. I'm not that brave with cutting a hole in the roof of the truck. So what I've decided to do is to basically put some lights with a battery pack inside the roof rack. So basically running off of a button cell. So I'm running 5 LEDs on this Jeep roof rack. I've got inside this box here a button cell battery. It lasts for about 30 minutes is what I've seen. So it starts to dim out, closer to 30 minutes. I've never really sat and watched it and put a camera on it, but I have timed it, so they are still lit at 30 minutes. But anyways, what that allows me to do is I'm running the wires for the LEDs around and into this box. I'm going to start selling a little DIY kit. Of course, if you want to do it yourself, the way I'm doing these, I found these LEDs. They are rated 3 to 3.2 volts, so they can run directly off of a button cell battery, like you see here. So that's the voltage that they're rated at. You don't have to have a resistor or anything like that, because typically that's what's inside the pre-wire. There's usually a resistor, and that's why it gets so thick right here, and you just can't really do a whole lot with that pre-wired, at least not as clean. So I found these 3 to 3.2 volt LEDs. They'll run directly off of a single button cell. I'm starting to do these cargo boxes, I guess I'm calling them, and I've got a jumbo and then just a regular size. The regular size just holds the battery container, and then the jumbo is actually big enough to where you can actually put a spare battery in and close it up inside, and that way you've got a spare battery and the one you're running. So I'll be putting some kits out that include a box, the actual battery holder that goes inside the box, and some LEDs. Right now I'm not going to include the batteries, but I did find some. You can get some rechargeable ones, and I found this little kit came with 2 of the button cells. They just slide into the back of this USB charger. You pop it in there. Looks like it charges one maybe in about 30 minutes, so I should be able to charge one while running the other one and just flop them back and forth and actually get a lot of runtime out of it. So anyways, that's what I'll be using. I think those things are, like, you can get them on Amazon or something for like 16 bucks or something like that for a couple of them plus a recharger, maybe even cheaper if you looked around. I was just trying to find something quick. So first thing we'll do, you'll need, of course, one of my roof racks, or just whatever roof rack you're using that takes an LED if you're going to source everything on your own. This is one of my magnetic roof racks, so I'm going to make it for this Toyota, and I'll be taking this roof rack off. So I've already put the magnets in it. It takes 4 lights. I'm going to use that just because it'll be a little bit quicker than doing 5, and I'll show you how I mount the LEDs and all that stuff. So I'm going to put this little slim cargo box in the roof rack. Still not 100% sure how I want to put it in here. I'll probably put it something sort of like that. That way I have access to the switch, maybe put a little bit of stuff in front of it in the roof rack. So anyways, so to get started, I usually just start out by putting battery in this, and then that way I've got a battery in there, and I can actually test the LEDs and make sure I know which is positive, which is negative. I believe on these, yeah, there's a little white line, and I believe that should be the negative. I believe that's the way it works. Oh, helps to have it turned on, doesn't it? There we go. Oh, it looks like, okay, so the white line is the positive, or the red. So I like to put a little mark on here just so I know. The LEDs, most of them, most of the time, the positive is the longer leg and the negative is the shorter leg. So again, I just like to put a little visual cue on there so that I know which is which. And I like to test all of them just to make sure as I'm going through. I'll go ahead and do 4 of these. All right. So all right. Just validate I got the right one. All right. So I've got those. I've got that marked. So I'll continue using that to test as we go through. So I'm just going to set it aside. So the first thing to do is I'm going to get some LEDs inside the buckets. So the way I typically do these is poke them down in there just a little ways. Then I'll take something pointy and poke them the rest of the way. That way they should pretty much be flush right in here. So I will go ahead and do that with 4 of them. Anyways, so I've got all the LEDs in here. Now I'm gonna take the light bar, and I'm going to the very first one. Now the main thing is to decide if you're going to put the cargo box over here where you want the wire, because if I put it on this side, then the wire would be shortest going up this side over here, and that's where I want to connect into the light first. Or I'm going to turn it something sort of like this, then I'd want to wire up the first light to this side. So really it helps to know where you're going to mount your cargo box before you start the lights. So I'm just going to go ahead and I think wire up the first light over here to the left, and then go to the right. So what I always do with the first light is, see if you can see this here. I've got it going at about a 45-degree angle. So if you look at, think of this as a line, and that is a vertical line. Now I've got it going at about a 45 degree. Because what that allows me to do is I'm going to bend these down and sort of shape them to where I can solder the wire on. It'll make more sense when we start to fold over the wires from the other LEDs and how they make contact. But anyways, that very first one, whichever side is going to be your main side, put it about 45-degree angle. Now I'm going to put the slightest little dab of glue on here because I don't want the bucket lights to be moving around on me. So I'm just going to put a little drop right there, just enough to keep that bucket light from moving. Just going to let it dry for a second. All right. So what I'm going to do, might need my tweezers or maybe my pliers. I'm going to fold that one down. First one. I'm going to fold the second one down. This is where it helps to have the red, or if you want to mark the negative, you can put a black on there or whatever. That's where that comes into play. So once I fold them down, you'll see that they're, separated. There's a little gap between them. Right here, all the way down to where it's going to go screwing in. What I want to do is start to bend both of them back just above that area. I might need to shape them just a little bit, but the plan will be to run them through this little gap that I've got here. And again, of course, if you've got some other roof rack or whatever that you're doing this same type of thing with, then you'll just have to bend those to where it works with whatever it is you're mounting it in. Okay, so that looks good. I just want to make sure they're separated. I don't cover these with any kind of shrink wrap or anything like that. You could probably get some liquid electrical tape or something to put on there, but I just found it too difficult. So these are stiff enough to where, as long as you bend them just right and keep them separated, you shouldn't have a problem with them touching, because you definitely don't want them touching. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next light. So I know that my red is sort of on the top of this one here. So what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to make sure my red from the other ones are on the top, and when I put them in, I'm going to make sure all these other three are going to be straight up. So I'm going to put them in there and put a little glue on them. Okay, so I've got all those on there, and if you're curious what I was doing, I was using a little bit of kicker to make sure that super glue set up, because if I don't, I always end up getting my fingers glued together. All right, so from here, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to fold these over. I've got the red, the positive, on all the tops right here, and then I know that this top one here is positive. So I keep catching a little glimpse. There's a little fiber down in there. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to test real quick just to make sure everything is what I'm expecting. So and for those that haven't really worked with LEDs too much, They are very sensitive to the positive and negative. It won't work if you hook them up backwards. So, all right, so now I'm going to start folding these over, knowing that this one here, I'm going to shape it. Maybe, actually, let me get my pliers. All right, and I've got some close cut snips here. I'm going to use that just to cut the excess off. All right, so I've got those folded over. All right, so now's when I'm going to start just soldering them down. And I'm not a professional solderer, whatever you call it. So I'm sure there'll probably be some comments about how bad of a job I'm doing with the solder. So, but that's okay. I'm not going to claim that I'm the best at soldering. So, more than happy to receive some soldering tips. Maybe I'll know how to do it better the next time. All right, so I've got those down. Now when I hook this up, now as you can see, I got both lights lighting up. All right, so that looks good. Now I'm just going to continue doing that same thing all the way across, and I'm going to solder each one to the next light, the light that's right next to it. All right, so that gets that piece of it done. Now, as I mentioned, I don't put any kind of stuff over the back. I'm sure there's probably some good stuff to cover up the back of this. I take sort of a cheater route, and I sort of do this number right here. I take a black Sharpie, and I just sort of color it in to take the worst of the shine off. Nothing fancy for me. I try to keep things relatively simple. It's going to be up under it, so probably won't be too bad. I'll probably have to touch it up a little bit more, just because Sharpie doesn't work super good on metal. All right, There we go. Probably even hit it with a splash of paint or something if you really wanted to, just covering up that front. All right, so now I'm going to actually go ahead and mount these to the roof rack. All right, so I got all that mounted up there. Now I'm going to put the cargo box in. All right, so since I wired this, now of course, I could also, put the cargo box in like so, but then the wire's got to run past the switch. So I think what I'm going to do is just sort of center the cargo box, and that way I'll have a little short wire coming out here. I'll solder it on to the backs right there, and then I'll just mount some stuff over it on the front. So all right, so what I'll do is go ahead and cut these wires off and trim them back. Actually, what I'll do, I'll mark the black one. It does not have the lines. Let me turn that off before I short circuit it. All right. This one's black, and this one is black. It's going to be real tight in here, but I think I can solder it. We're going to find out. Take a little bit more off the ends of those wires. All right, I think that got it. Yeah, there we go. All right, so what I'll probably do is same thing I did before. I'll just run a little black magic marker over this, just enough to try to get a little shine off of it. All right. Now it's wired up. So now what I can do is I can go over to my Toyota here, take off my custom wired light bar. All right, I'll glue that in place, and then I'll just add some accessories to it. So probably have to get some gas cans and some other stuff. Put a few things on it. I think that's about it. Everything else is tied down. So that completes the install of LED lights. So like I say, I'll be putting some DIY kits out there, probably by the time this video's available. They should be available on my Etsy and eBay shops. So for starters, I'll include, you can either pick the jumbo or the low profile. I'll include the battery holder and some LEDs, some of the proper LEDs to get started. And then it's just a matter of, you can use rechargeable or non-rechargeable, as long as you've got their CR 2032 batteries, and they're I believe 3.2 volts. So that's what you'll want to use inside. So that way the rechargeables are nice, just because the button cell batteries can be pretty costly. So I would definitely recommend getting rechargeables. Otherwise, you'll probably go through them a pretty good bit. So, all right. Well, hope this video was helpful, and feel free to like and subscribe. I'm not a big YouTube video person, but you know, all the liking and the subscribing and stuff helps. But feel free to shoot me any questions, maybe some soldering tips, whatever you feel like. And be sure and check out my Etsy and eBay shops. Thanks for watching, and keep on crawling.